Good evening, everyone, and good evening, Michelle Bowden, our defender here. Good to see you.
I was going to say, it's nice to see your face. It's been a long time since we've been
a long time.
together.
People don't understand, even though we work together and you see our faces on television, we don't necessarily see each other in person. We see each other the same way that they see us, right?
Right. We used to share a pod, and so we were like cubby mates, but not anymore.
Yeah.
Not for now, anyway.
Yeah, but you're turning out some really good work, by the way. No different tonight. We've got a Where's the Money piece that you've been working on, talking with a challenge that is common to more people than we realize. You know, we do a lot of stories since this pandemic started where we're talking about kids, we're talking about families, and we're talking about the challenges that those families have. Rarely do we have an opportunity to talk about or to consider that families aren't necessarily always living under one roof, right?
Yeah.
And so, in your story, you talk a little bit about that tonight. Actually, that's what you're talking about tonight, right?
Yeah, that's the gist of the story. And I think it's a part of this that so many people face. We all know divorce, unfortunately, is a big part of, the world that we live in. And so we wanted to find out. And honestly, the story, I got the idea from so many of my friends that were going through this. It's the idea of having to co-parent with someone that you're not married to anymore. So you obviously have some disagreements. So to have to co-parent during a pandemic and all the sort of complications that go with that. And it was really interesting. I mean, there's the money angle, there's do the kids go to school, there's potential job loss, there's do they wear masks, do they not wear masks, are we comfortable eating inside a restaurant or, just on the patio. So all these decisions that adults are having to make for themselves, they're now having to make for their children with someone that they might not always agree with. And so we sort of really delved into that. And I give this woman credit. We talked to a mom of 2 young boys, and she was very open, just sort of talked about all the challenges she's faced because she and her ex-husband are not on the same page at all.
Yeah.
And so the challenges of that. And then she also talked about, there's some money issues because, as we all know, unemployment's been a challenge for a lot of people. And if it's not unemployment, some people have been furloughed, there have been pay cuts. And so what happens to the child support payment or the spousal support?
Yeah.
So all these are things that maybe you don't think about on a day-to-day basis that are impacting so many people, so many of our loved ones and so many of my friends.
Yeah, I see a couple of comments already chiming in on this one. Carolyn CC says, she says it's an awful situation that and Meg Smith says it's awful too. And yeah, I know, that it can be very hard. I'm divorced too. And I just imagine what it must be like for parents who are not on the same page. One of the things they tell you, if you got kids in the picture, when you're divorced, you got to love the kids more than you dislike each other.
That is the perfect way of putting it. Honestly, You've got to put the kids first. And, it's hard enough. You can speak to it's hard enough when you're living in a world that's normal to agree on, the minutia of every day. But now throw in a worldwide pandemic and it's just that much more complicated. And, I give you credit because you've got 3 adorable kids that are clearly thriving because we get to see videos of them all the time. But I'm sure there's a lot of stuff to navigate.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to navigate. You have to get on the same page. And I know that this is one of the concerns of the woman that you talked to, getting on the same page of just how you're going to do school. We came to an agreement. We're going to do the online thing and just stick with it and be consistent. Also, how you want learning to take place, that you want a consistent schedule. So you start to, it's kind of like, and I can tell you this, everything that would be under normal circumstances, you cooperate on. I mean, you have to if it's going to be functional. You cooperate on that.
Well, yeah,
but it is to the nth level.
Exactly.
During a pandemic, because the kids are not, because you have there's no more, if the kids are not going to school, which is generally a neutral zone, right? Mm-hmm. School is a neutral zone if they live in 2 homes. Then suddenly one of those homes, maybe both of those homes, depending on how you're doing it, there's no neutrality. All of a sudden there's no neutral site of a school. So it's important to make sure that you're communicating clearly.
Well, and that's the chat. We talked to a law firm also. They deal with family law, so they deal with divorce all the time. And, they've been checking in with their clients since March. And they say there's no precedent for this. There's no rule book on this. There's nothing in nobody's divorce agreement says, should a pandemic occur, here's what's going to happen.
Right.
And so, the lawyers that we talked to said, the bottom line is you go back to your agreement and try to make it work. Basically. Yeah. I mean, it's so vague that even the courts have weighed in, just trying to help people navigate this tough time. You hate to think that lawyers would have to get involved, but that is the case sometimes. And that's where, the money can really add up if you have to get lawyers involved in this sort of thing. So the biggest thing that I learned in doing this story, and I think it's kind of obvious, communication, you started talking about it, and flexibility. And I think that goes for all of us, no matter what situation you're in right now in the pandemic, communication and flexible. I mean, I know my day, what I think I'm doing at 8 o'clock in the morning is not the same at noon, and it's not the same at 2 or 6 o'clock. And so I think that goes across, just across the board, really, particularly when you're dealing with kids.
Yeah, I see some comments. I see another comment from Meg Smith. She says, I'm a paralegal and I deal with family law, and I'm currently in round 2 of custody in courts currently. That is a very difficult situation because, like you said, of all the things, like, you have warranties, right? We get airfare, and they have like little clauses of what insurance will cover. There's nothing, like you said, in a divorce decree or a custody order that says in the event that a pandemic occurs. And it's like that across the board. I mean, there are a lot of circumstances that could come up in a custody situation that are not outlined by the letter. And that's where, parents have to come together and do what's in the best interest of the children. And that's a hard thing to do. If you've got 2 people who don't get along. It's very difficult to do. And also, they talk about court proceedings going on. Courts aren't operating the same either.
They're not normal. No, I know.
And I know that, did they mention that at all?
They did. They talked a little bit. I mean, we all remember when everything shut down. And so when things started to open up, they had to catch up. And then not everything has even gone back to normal, quote unquote, in the courts yet. So there's still there's all these landmines to navigate right now. But you hate to think that the lawyers are the ones that are benefiting in all this because people need help. You hope that people can come together and put the children first, as you mentioned. And I think that's happening in a lot of cases. The woman we talked to tonight in the story, her challenge, she decided to keep her kids, like you did, home from school. And so at this point, she's pretty much got primary custody so that she can control that with her boys. But she said when they go to their dads, I'm not sure he's as strict as I am. She said, the only thing I can do is hope for the best at this point.
Yeah. Full disclosure. I have complete joint custody, 50-50 of my kids. Fortunately, I'm in a situation where we agree on all of that. So it works out pretty well for me, but I see here another one. It says one of my children still haven't logged into school from day one.
Oh, goodness.
When she's with him, I'm assuming father, because this is from Carolyn CC. In a case like that, I'm not a lawyer, but I've been in court and I've seen a lot of things over the past couple of years. And, you have the advantage of having, because the school is involved, you have the advantage of having like a third party there that, again, like I say, a neutral party.
Yeah.
The school is neutral ground. So a teacher who knows that they have a student who should be logging on who is not in your custody is a third party who knows what exactly is going on. It's not someone else's. There's actually a third party involved. Well, Michelle, this is fascinating stuff. It also, I also think that parents out there who are in a normal nuclear situation
can maybe appreciate.
For as tough as things are, will appreciate their situation because it can be so much worse. One thing my mom always says is there's always someone willing to trade places with you in your situation. Always someone on earth. So I'm looking forward to seeing the story.
It's an interesting, and again, I give the mom that we interviewed, I give her credit for being so open about her story. She wanted people to know that they're not alone and there is a way to work through it and everything. And, the law firm that we worked with too, they actually ended up doing a whole survey of all their clients because they realized this was something so many people were dealing with, just trying to figure out how they could help people. So the story is on tonight at 11. Of course, we'll have it posted on our website on the Where's the Money section. So hopefully people will tune in.
All right. Hope to see it. Hope a lot of people tune in. We'll see you then. Thank you,
I'll
Michelle.
see you on